Greetings, YouTube. I apologize for the less than ideal levels of lighting in here. I am in my kitchen filming because I need a place that has some light. The living room wasn't really the best position I've ever been in, and the desk in the office at the moment and the table in the office are a mess as I'm trying to work with failing technology. So today I thought I'd talk about learning and my failure to learn things as quickly as I and many other people would probably really appreciate I would. You see, I don't learn quickly. Now I can remember things once I get them in my head, and I'm pretty good at data. When it comes to doing something like following a set of instructions, I really need to drill down in that before I can truly remember how to do something. And then I need to do it at a fairly regular period, because if it goes too long, I will forget how I did it. At one time, I could read music, which is a lot like learning another language. And now I can't read music at all. It's kind of sad. Oops. I knew I could at one time, but now I can't. Probably because I stopped playing trumpet when I was 17, and I'm 55. But for me to learn something, I have to not just see it done, but I have to do it, preferably under supervision by someone who knows what they're doing, and do it multiple times. And after I've done it a few times with a person, I need some solid instructions that I can refer to, written instructions that I can refer to refresh my memory that I can do it on my own. And if I do it like a dozen, 16 times, I finally click. But again, I have to do it fairly often after that, or I will forget how to do it. I encounter this problem at work a lot because our machines are old and cranky, and we have at least 3 different models of presses. So there's a lot of 4 of us, and 4 now is the one I haven't played with at all, the new one. 4 different models of presses now. And I can't remember how to do everything on them because a lot of the things are very situational. You may not have to do this thing for 6 months because the situation where you would have to know this control command just hasn't happened in 6 months, at least not to you, because we're running 3 shifts. So this problem could be happening fairly frequently, but I'm not running that press every day. We rotate almost every day or every other day. With 3 shifts, sometimes our runs are only 2 shifts long. We put a mold in, run 2 shifts apart, and they pull the mold back out. Yeah, the maintenance guys hate us. They're yanking molds out of my area all the time. My area is where part numbers come to die. It's where part numbers get run when they fall below a particular, fall below a particular threshold. They're not daily runners, and so they end up in our lap, and we do all those kind of parts order things. So it's very like me. We have 130 part numbers in my cell, and there are things I've never run, and I've been there for more than a decade, just because they are so rare, but they're still on the books because it's possible someone might want them someday. So we have them. But I get frustrated when I can't remember how to do something, even though like just Friday on my shift on Friday, someone had showed me how to do the day before, and I couldn't do it. So I had her show me how to do it on Friday, and I wrote down myself some notes, so I will hopefully be able to understand how to do this on my own next time. Also, she was able to help me link part of the process to something else I do on a different type of press. So now I have 2, mimetic things going for me, the notes, and then I do this same thing over there for a different reason, but it's the same process. So I can kind of link that in my head, hopefully. And one of the reasons I find this so frustrating is that as a kid, because I have always had to learn like this, maybe I have an undiagnosed learning disability, I'm not sure. But as a kid, I was raised by a drunk, an abusive drunk, who wanted you to know how to do everything without training just because otherwise you're stupid. And you can imagine how well that went with a person that needs to see something done a number of times and then needs to do it a dozen or more times before it finally clicks inside their head. Because when I failed to do something the way it should be done and learned it quickly enough, at worst case scenario, I'd get hit. But most of the time, I would just be verbally and emotionally abused. In essence, my father told me I was stupid for almost 15 straight years, every goddamn day. And if you hear that for that long, you believe it. And it wasn't until I was almost 22 that I came to realize I wasn't stupid, because there was no one in my life to tell me that I wasn't. And it's not that my friends or things were cruel. It's just I don't think they understood that I needed to hear that. They knew I wasn't stupid. They just didn't tell me. So at 22, while I was teaching myself quantum physics and reading philosophy, a lot of Taoism, and then eventually that helped lead me to paganism, and which eventually left me to true theism at 22. But I was reading heavy history books, and I got to the point where I'm reading 19th century British science literature and getting the jokes, because 19th century Brits are very dry. Fortunately, my humor can be also parts desert-like, so I got the jokes, or it passed for jokes, I guess. Little dry chortles, probably what happened when they wrote those lines. But it was very frustrating as a kid, because my life was such chaos, and the learning process is supposed to be about order. You're supposed to be able to do things in an orderly manner, which helps you understand them, because if you try to learn something in chaos, it doesn't work too well. I can attest to this with personal experience. But everybody learns differently. Some people have legitimate learning disabilities, and some people just need a little bit of specific encouragement in a particular certain way. Some people just need to learn something in a particular manner. They need to write it down, or they need an illustration, or they need to be talked through it while they do it without you showing them how to do it at all. Everybody learns a little different. I just need to hear something done or see something done a few times, and then I can start doing it on my own until eventually it clicks. Certain things never did click. For example, diagramming English sentences. I could not tell you what an adverb right now was if you pointed a gun at me. Made no sense to me then, and it makes no sense to me now. Not to mention, a lot of the grammar rules that we apply to English came out of Latin, and Latin and English have nothing to do with each other. But hey, you seem to make the people who wrote the grammar rules happy. So let's talk about how we learn. How do you learn? Do you know people who have a similar kind of learning pattern as I do? I don't think I'm unique in this. I really don't. So let's talk about learning and how we do it, and how we fail to do it, and how we can support each other in our efforts to do it better. Now let's get this thing. Here we go.